Have you ever felt like you're doing everything right and still something feels off? You hit your 30s, grinding, building, surviving, but then 40 creeps in, and suddenly you start asking different questions, deeper ones, uncomfortable ones. You start feeling things you can't explain, sensing shifts you never expected, and if you're not careful, you'll think you're falling apart. When in truth, you're finally waking up. Before we go deeper, hit like and comment, I'm ready. Not just for the algorithm, but to set an intention. This isn't just another video, this is a turning point, because here's the uncomfortable truth. Not everyone gets this awakening. It's reserved for the few, the chosen, the ones who are no longer willing to sleepwalk through their lives. You're about to discover why age 40 isn't the beginning of the end. It's the end of pretending. And what comes after? That's what most people never reach. But you're not most people. We're going to uncover the signs, the shifts, the spiritual rewiring that starts quietly but changes everything. And if you've felt the nudge, the restlessness, the inner whisper that says something more is calling, this video is your mirror, and by the end you'll see this isn't just about changing habits. This is about changing who you are becoming. Something strange happens when you turn 40 if you're paying attention. It's like a fog finally lifts. For years, you've been chasing, grinding, proving. But suddenly, none of that noise matters anymore. You don't wake up wanting more, you wake up craving truth. And that's when the awakening begins. It's not loud, it's not a lightning bolt. It's a quiet whisper that says, there's more to you than this. And you feel it in your bones. It's not about midlife crisis, it's midlife clarity. You look around and start asking questions no one warned you about. Why have I been living someone else's dream? Why do I feel like a stranger in my own story? Ever asked yourself that? Because when the soul is ready, those questions stop being scary and start becoming sacred. That's the shift at 40. Something in you says, enough. Enough pretending, enough people-pleasing, enough chasing trophies that never made you feel full. This isn't burnout, it's a soul reset. And when it hits, you can't go back to sleep. Clarity doesn't arrive gently, it shows you the lies. You've believed the masks you wore and the roles you never chose, but instead of breaking you, it liberates you. Because now you finally see yourself, raw, real, ready. He had the house, the car, the title, but every night he felt hollow. Until one morning, brushing his teeth, he caught his own eyes in the mirror and whispered, I don't know who I am. That moment didn't destroy him, it woke him up. What followed changed everything, because awakening at 40 isn't the end of the road, it's the start of your road. It's when confusion becomes clarity and clarity becomes courage. But before you can walk that path, you'll need to let go of something first. Letting go sounds weak until you do it. Until you finally release that toxic friendship, that job that drains your soul, that belief that you're never enough. And suddenly, you can breathe again. That's not weakness, that's power in its purest form. People think holding on is strength. But holding on to what's breaking you, that's slow self-destruction. Real strength is walking away from what no longer serves your peace. And when you do, life rushes in to fill the space you just made. Always. You probably never realized. This done, but half your exhaustion isn't from doing too much. It's from carrying what isn't yours to carry. Other people's expectations, guilt that isn't yours, stories that were never true. So let me ask you, what belief do you need to let go of today? She spent years proving herself to a father who never approved. One day she stopped trying, and that day she slept through. The night, for the first time in a decade, letting go didn't break her, it freed her. What if the same is true for you? When you release what's toxic, you reclaim what's sacred. Your time, your energy, your dignity. Suddenly, you're not Drained by chaos, you're guided by peace, and with peace comes clarity, and with clarity comes direction. Close your eyes. Imagine waking up with nothing to fix, no one to impress, nothing to fear, just you, honest, whole, unburdened. That vision, it's not a fantasy. It's what waits on the other side of letting go. But first, you'll need to trust something deeper, because the moment you release control, time stops being the enemy, and what unfolds next? That's where the real magic begins. Time used to feel like a ticking bomb. You remember that, right? Every birthday felt like a deadline, every missed goal a failure. But something shifts at 40. Time softens. It stops being a prison and starts becoming a partner. You stop obsessing over being behind. Behind? What exactly? A timeline someone else made up? At this stage, you start asking better questions like, what if I'm not late? I'm just on time for my life. That's when everything slows down in the best way. They told you to rush, to hustle, to arrive before you're ready. But no one said the most powerful people are those who wait, with intention, who trust the unfolding, who don't panic when plans shift. That's not passivity, that's mastery. She wanted kids, it didn't happen. Until age 44, when she adopted twins she never saw coming. And you know what? It was divine timing, messy, unexpected, perfect. If she had forced the timeline, she would have missed her miracle. What are you rushing that needs to unfold? Breathe. You're not behind. You're being prepared. Every delay, every detour, it wasn't punishment. It was precision. Because what's meant for you will find you when you're aligned, not when you're anxious. So many spend their 30s racing against time. But at 40, the chosen ones step off that hamster wheel. And in that stillness, something unexpected happens. Time starts working for you, but only if you stop chasing and start listening. And that stillness, that presence, that sacred pause you're finally learning to trust, it holds a message, a pattern, a story, one that connects every struggle you've ever faced into something much bigger than you realized. Funny how pain makes no sense when you're in it, but becomes poetry when you look back. Every failed relationship, every rejection, every night you cried alone thinking, what's the point? Now at 40, the pieces start fitting together. It's not random, it never was. That betrayal taught you boundaries, that layoff forced you to reinvent. That heartbreak opened your heart to yourself. The chaos was carving out your character. You just couldn't see the blueprint until now. Ever felt like life was dragging you through mud just for the sake of it? Yeah, me too, but here's the twist. Mud grows the lotus, always has. Your struggles weren't punishment, they were preparation. For what? Purpose. He lost everything at 36. Business failed, wife left. He thought it was the end. 4 years later, he became a grief coach, helping others through the same pain that almost took him out. His breakdown became his blueprint. What's yours? Think about this. What if your purpose isn't something you find, but something you become? Layer by layer, scar by scar. Most people search for clarity in books and gurus, but the real answer? It's been coded into your own story. Write down 3 moments that broke you and what they taught you. That's not just reflection, that's revelation. And when you look at them side by side, you'll notice a thread, a through line, a quiet wisdom trying to speak to you all along. And that wisdom, it's about to grow louder. Because when you finally see your life as a map, not a mess, you stop asking why me and start asking what now. And the next thing you discover changes where you seek validation. Remember when a single comment could ruin your day? When you needed likes, applause, or someone's approval just to feel worthy. At 40, that grip starts to loosen. You stop asking, do they like me? And start asking, do I like me? That shift is liberation. You realize no amount of external praise can fill an internal void. And no, it's not about ego, it's about alignment. When your life becomes a reflection of who you truly are, not who you're trying to impress, peace follows, and approval becomes irrelevant. Ever noticed how draining it is to wear a mask every day? The smile that hides the fear, the achievements, and that hide the doubt. But at some point the mask cracks, and beneath it you find someone far more powerful than the version the world applauded. She was the perfect mom, PTA president, always smiling, until one day she stopped pretending and started painting again. The joy in her eyes returned, not because anyone clapped, but because she finally clapped for herself. That applause, the only one that ever mattered. Here's a truth they don't teach in school. When you no longer need validation, you become magnetic. People sense the freedom, the confidence, the authenticity, and ironically, that's when the right people start showing up. The ones who see the real you. Do this. Tonight, write down 3 things you do just to be accepted. Then ask, what would I do differently if no one was watching? That question alone can unravel decades of people-pleasing. What does this reveal about how you've been living? Because when you drop the need for validation, you pick up something far greater, vision. And with that vision, you begin to sense the divine patterns you were too distracted to see before. It starts subtly. You see a number repeat, you think of someone and they call. You feel a pull, a knowing, a quiet yes inside. At first you think it's coincidence, but then the patterns keep showing up, and suddenly, you're not just awake, you're aware. This isn't about religion, it's about remembering that you're not just flesh and goals, you're soul and guidance. Intuition sharpens, the noise of the world fades, and in the silence you begin to hear, not with ears, but with something deeper. Have you ever walked into a room and just felt something was off? That's energy speaking. And once you start listening to that frequency, life stops being a guessing game and starts becoming a guided dance. You don't chase, you align. He ignored the signs, pushed through burnout, ignored his gut, until a panic attack forced him to stop. In the stillness that followed, he began meditating, journaling, listening. A year later, he built a life around those practices and never looked back. Start simple. Meditate 10 minutes a day. Journal your dreams. Pay attention to gut feelings. The more you act on intuition, the louder it becomes. It's not magic, it's memory of who you've always been underneath the programming. Your senses expand. You begin to notice the sacred in the mundane. A stranger's smile, a perfect sunset, a quiet whisper that says you're on the right path. And with that comes a calm confidence, not forced, not loud, just truth. And that truth, it leads to something even more powerful, the awareness that your energy, your very presence, is a tool, a magnet, a force. And when you learn how to protect it, everything changes. Manifestation isn't just about thinking positive, it's about mastering energy. Your energy introduces you before you speak. It builds your reality before you take action. When you learn to protect it, direct it, and honor it, life starts responding in ways that feel almost supernatural. You walk into certain rooms and feel drained. Others, you feel lit up. That's not random. That's your energy field reacting to alignment or lack of it. Most people ignore this. The chosen ones learn to listen, because your environment either feeds you or feeds off you. Ever felt heavy after a conversation with someone, like your joy was leaking? That's not overreacting, that's intuition. Energy vampires are real. Boundaries aren't selfish, they're sacred. Protecting your energy is protecting your future. He stopped saying yes to every invitation, started his mornings in silence, cut ties with people who made him doubt his worth. Within months, his creativity exploded, his health Improved. His peace became non-negotiable. That's energy awareness in action. Want to amplify your manifestations? Start by creating an energy hygiene ritual. Clean your digital space. Clear your physical space. Speak affirmations with intention. Thank your body. Gratitude is a frequency, and it tunes your entire life into abundance. Alignment isn't passive. It's deliberate. It's saying no to what distracts, so you can say yes to what fulfills. When your energy is clean, your vision sharpens. And when your vision sharpens, your results multiply. Suddenly, the impossible becomes inevitable, and once your energy is aligned, truly aligned, you begin to crave something deeper than noise, something quiet, something sacred, something that used to feel like loneliness, but now feels like home. There was a time when being alone felt like punishment. Silence was unbearable. The absence of company felt like the absence of worth, but for the awakened, solitude becomes sanctuary. It stops feeling like a void and starts feeling like a portal. In solitude, you begin to hear things that were drowned out by noise. Your own voice, your own needs, your buried desires. Suddenly, your inner world becomes more nourishing than any external validation. You're no longer lonely. You're with yourself. She used to fill every weekend with distractions, parties, people, noise. Then she took a solo trip to the mountains. No signal, no plans, just space. That weekend, she met the version of herself she hadn't heard in 20 years, and she cried from joy. Have you ever sat in silence and felt peace instead of panic? That's growth, that's healing. Solitude becomes a sacred mirror. It reflects what's real and what was just noise. What would happen if you gave yourself that gift more often? Practical step? Design a solitude ritual. 1 hour a week, no phone, no input, just you, nature, maybe a notebook. You'll be shocked at what comes through. Ideas, answers, truths you've been chasing from others, waiting inside you all along. You don't need to escape the world. You just need to reconnect with your own. That's why chosen ones crave solitude, not to hide, but to remember. And when you remember who you are in silence, you return to the world with power in your presence. And it's from that place of deep self-connection that something incredible begins. The courage to finally live, not for expectations, not for applause, but from your essence. This is the moment you stop performing and start living. No more masks, no more chasing roles you never chose. Just you, raw, real, and ready to paint your life with colors that actually feel like you. You don't need permission to change. You don't need consensus to evolve. At 40, something clicks. You've been edited for too long, shrinking, bending, hiding. But now you reclaim the pen and start writing a story worth living. He was an executive with a 6-figure salary, but his joy was in woodworking. At 43, he left the boardroom to open a small studio. People called him crazy until they saw the light in his eyes. That light, it's what authenticity looks like. So ask yourself, what would you do if no one judged you? What dream did you bury to be practical? What part of you have you silenced just to fit in? That version of you, the one you abandoned, is still waiting, patient, unbroken, whole. Living authentically isn't about being reckless. It's about being aligned with your values, your passions, your truth. Start small. Say no when you mean no. Wear what feels right. Speak without editing yourself. These shifts create a life you recognize. You were not born to be a carbon copy. You are not here to live someone else's timeline. You're here to create boldly, authentically, audaciously. And once you start doing that, life begins to mirror your truth back to you. And that mirror, it shows you what was always possible, what was waiting beneath the noise. And just when you think you've arrived, you realize the journey is only beginning. So now you know, this awakening at 40 isn't chaos. It's your calling. And it's not about becoming someone new. It's about finally becoming you, the version of you that's been whispering under the noise, waiting for space to rise. But here's the real question. What are you going to do with this clarity? Will you keep pretending you're fine? Or will you take the first step toward the life that's been calling your name all along? Comment below. What part of this truth hit you hardest? What do you know now that you can no longer ignore? If this video spoke to something deep inside you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone you love. Someone who's also been feeling the shift but doesn't have the words for it yet. And don't forget, hit the bell icon so you don't miss what's coming next. Because this journey isn't over. In fact, if this video brought you new insights about spiritual transformation at 40, don't stop here. Click right here and continue with me. This next video is the next step, and I promise it will surprise you. Let's walk this path together.